What's up, Internet? My name is Michael Cook, and this is Blue Giant Media. We're here to help you find, learn, and play the games that you love. Today, we're going to set up and play through a couple rounds of Sushi Go Party, so you can get a feel for how long it takes to set it up, and a feel for the rules, so you can jump right in and get playing yourself. So, let's ready, set, play. One of the cool things about Sushi Go Party compared to the original version of Sushi Go is that it plays up to 8 players. The other thing that I think is even better is the fact that it adds a lot of variety to the game. So it comes with this board, which is not necessary, but it's nice. I will say I'm not a big fan of tins, especially the fact that this doesn't have square corners. It just makes it a little bit tricky getting things in and out. And you can see it bends the corner of the rule book, and eventually I feel like it will do damage to the board, but that's that. So you will take this out, set it in the middle of the table, then you're going to go to the rule book and you're going to try and figure out what setup you want to do for this particular game. So if you open it up, there's a page right here, right up front for card selection. So when you play, if you look, you're going to have always the nigiri. So you'll grab those out and you'll always use the nigiri. So get them ready, and then you're going to choose one kind of roll, 2 specials, 3 appetizers, and 1 dessert. You can do it randomly, or you can do one of the setups that is recommended here, and each one kind of has a theme. They've kind of chosen ones that work well together. There's the first meal, there's Sushi Go, which uses the original cards or options from the game, from the base game. The party sampler, master menu. There's one right here that's point splatter. There's a lot of things that are going to score points if you just want to do things that score points. There's cutthroat combos, which have things that are very interactive and let you have a chance to mess with each other possibly. The big banquet, which is going to be better for larger groups, 6 to 8. And dinner for 2, which is going to be better with 2 players. So you're going to pick which one of those you want. We're going to go with my first meal. So we're going to grab the nigiri, and then, so this part is not necessary, but highly recommended because it is more than just aesthetic. It is definitely gives it a better aesthetic presence to the table. But you're going to go through here and grab the kind of tiles that go with what you're going to use. You're going to use the tea and the wasabi. Go ahead and find those. So I have all my specials together. Then I've got all my appetizers together. So I'm going to grab tempura, sashimi, and miso. Go ahead and put those in there. Set the appetizers aside. Then I'm going to look at the rolls. We're going to use the maki rolls for your first meal. And finally, you have to pick a dessert. And we are going to use the green tea ice cream. And I will go ahead and set this game up as you would for 2 players, because that is what I play most often. But I will give you a quick rundown of how things differ based off of the number of players. So each of you is going to choose what color you want to be. There are 8 different colors. So let's say that I am blue, and you can be this light green. And now we're going to go through and grab the cards. I've got my cards organized. There are different inserts for this game. I have this plastic molded, vacuum molded one that has spots for most of the cards. I also have some promos in here, but I pretty much got it roughly set up so that all of the specials are here, all of the appetizers are here, all of the rolls are here, and the desserts are here. So it makes it a little bit easier for me to find everything. And then I've got them alphabetized within that. So here's my maki rolls. And we'll go over to my appetizers and grab the tea and the wasabi. There's only 3 of each of those. Then we're going to go through the appetizers and we're going to find the miso. And the nice thing too is you can see the color of them here, so you can gives you a little bit of a visual cue so you can know a little bit what to look for here. Then we're going to grab the sashimi and tempura. Finally, we're going to get the green tea ice cream. But this one we are not going to mix in yet, because this game is played over the course of 3 rounds. And you want to make sure that there's some dessert that will possibly be in here every round. So based off of the number of players, you're going to be adding them into here. With 2 to 5 players, in the first round, you will be putting 5 into the deck. The second round, you'll add 3 more. And in the final round, you will add 2 more before shuffling and dealing out to all the players. With 6 to 8 players, you'll do 7, 5, and 3 for each of the rounds. Alright, so the only other things to be aware of if you choose to do everything random, especially if you got some promos, is that the special order, which is one of the specials, you cannot use that in a 7 or 8 player game, along with the menu. You can't use menu or special order. And then in a 2 player game, you cannot use the spoon or edamame, and that has to do with the way they score and the ways that they interact with things. It doesn't work with those numbers of players. So we will take 5 of the green tea ice cream, set the rest aside so that we know and don't mix them up. We will then take this deck and shuffle. 9 times out of 10, I like to do an overhand shuffle. But this game, I want to make sure I do at least 1 or 2 of either that kind of shuffle. Maybe I do one of these. So that does hopefully a little bit less damage to the cards. Nice thing is this is not a super expensive game, but I still typically like to shuffle most of my games like this. This is just a little bit of a larger deck, and if I were to do that overhand, in order to get it thoroughly mixed, it would take quite a bit of shuffling. Alright, so the next thing that you're going to do after you have shuffled everything up is you're going to be dealing the cards to the players. So you also have a different number of cards based off of the number of players. With 2 or 3 players, you're going to be giving 10 cards to every player. And with 4 or 5 players, you're going to give 9 cards to every player. With 6 or 7 players, 8 cards per player. And with 8 players, you will be giving just 7 cards per player. So we have to have this shuffled enough. We can take a quick look. I like to, since I shuffle this way, just to make sure that there's not an inordinate grouping. Like maybe, okay, that's a little bit too much together. Not that it's not statistically possible to have that big of a grouping, but I like to kind of see, there's only 3 of these in the deck and there's 2 of them next to each other. So maybe I spread them out a little bit. There's a whole lot of maki rolls together. So separate those a little bit. And now, since I've kind of doctored the deck, I go through and just a couple more times do this. By then, I feel pretty satisfied that the deck is sufficiently shuffled. Alright, so since we are playing 2 players, that's going to be 10 cards to each of us. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So, rather than walk through all the decision-making process for each of us, I'm pretty much just going to turn over a card at random. So normally you're going to be looking at these cards. You're going to be choosing one of them to play, and you'll put it face down, and you will pass the rest. At the same time, all the other players are going to be looking at their hand of cards. They're going to be choosing one, putting it face down, and passing the rest. Once everyone has chosen a card, they're going to flip it over. So you've got sashimi, which says that you need to have, for every 3 sashimi you have, you will score 10 points. So right now, this 1 sashimi is 0 points. You're not going to get 1/3 of 10. You need to have 3 for it to count for anything at all. If you have 3, you get 10 points. If you have 4, it's 10 points. If you have 5, it's still 10 points. If you have 6, now it's 20 points. So that's the way sashimi works. The miso soup is worth 3 points by itself, but only if you're the only person at the table who played miso soup on this turn. So you don't want to get too much miso soup. You want to be the only one at the table, otherwise I guess you don't enjoy it. So then again, you will look at your hand, you will choose one at random, and you will pass the rest to your neighbor to your left. At the same time, your neighbor is going to be looking at their hand, and they are going to be choosing one card to play and passing the rest. Then you will flip them over. So you've got a maki roll. A maki roll, at the end, you'll see this has one symbol in the corner. There can be 1, 2, or 3 across the top of the card. At the end of the game, you will look at everyone's maki rolls, and whoever has the most symbols, not the most cards, but the most symbols, will score 6 points, and second most will score 3 points. If you're playing with 6, 7, or 8 players, then it actually is going to go 6, then 4, then 2, as depicted on the back side of this tile. So the nice thing is each one of these does explain how you score each of them. So this is actually a very useful thing beyond just looking nice in the middle of the table. Alright, so then I played, and you have to have at least one maki roll. So if you have all of them and I have none, I don't still get second place and get 3 points. I have to have at least one maki roll card in order to get those 3 points. So then I chose Tempura, which you need 2 tempura to score 5 points. So similar to the sashimi, 1 tempura is no points, 2 tempura is 5 points, 3 tempura still 5 points, 4 tempura, now you have 10 points. And then you will keep going, and you will continue playing through each of these rotations of these cards until we've gone through the entire deck, or your entire hands. So you have the Salmon Nigiri. So the Nigiri are worth either 1 for egg, 2 for salmon, or 3 for squid. So they're just worth that many points. It doesn't vary. However, I played the wasabi. The wasabi says that the next nigiri that you play earns triple points. So if I play a wasabi and then a salmon nigiri, those 2 cards together are now worth 6 points. So they're worth 3 points each. And one of the things you want to think about in this game is number of points per card. So you don't always want to look at, okay, well it took me, 7 maki roll cards. I almost half of my cards were maki rolls, and that gave me 6 points. 6 points is good. 6 points is good, but not if you have to spend 4 cards to get it. You want to ideally spend as few cards as possible. 3 points per card is pretty solid, in my experience. Alright, so I've played that one, so I'm going to be keeping an eye out for a good nigiri. And just so that we can see a little bit of everything here, well, I'll go ahead and put that one there. So you got another sashimi because you were able to look at this hand and see, okay, well there's 2 more coming around. So that means that we have a guarantee that you're going to get at least that 3rd sashimi that you need. And then I, from looking at the cards going around, knew that there weren't any squid nigiri. The best thing you can do in this setup, in my experience, is play a wasabi and then a squid nigiri. Those 2 cards together are going to score you 9 points or 4.5 points per card, which is very nice. The only other card that can really come close, and it's very situational, is going to be the tea. So then let's come over here. Let's do that. Speaking of the tea, let's go ahead and have you play the tea. So the tea, at the end of the round, you're going to look at what color card you have the most of. And it is worth 1 point per card of that color. So if you finish the game with 4 or 5 sashimi, well, those 4th and 5th sashimi aren't worth any points for the sashimi. But now if you have 5 sashimi cards, the tea is worth 5 points each. Because you have 5 greens, so the tea is worth 5 points each. So the tea can be a very powerful card as well, but it is much more situational. And then I have another miso soup over here for 3 points. You would go ahead and play these until you go all the way through all of the cards in your hand. Then at the end of the round, so let's just flip these over and do a scoring. Let's say that this is what you had. And this is what I had. Alright, so you have 10 points for your sashimi. 10 points for you. You have 4 points for your nigiri. We both tied for most maki rolls. In a tie, both players get the amount listed. So both of us are going to get 6. They'll give you your 6. You have 1 miso soup for 1, 2, 3 points. And your tea is going to be worth 1, 2, 3, 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. Usually when you score these, you'll go, all right, everyone look at your nigiri. How many points did you get? And you can move them along. And then look at the maki, look at the tea, etc. You go kind of item by item. Or you can let everybody total their things up on their own, depending on how well everybody knows the game. If everyone knows the game well and you trust the people that you're playing with, you can let them all move themselves. If you don't all know the game well, and maybe you don't trust, or maybe you don't trust the people that you're playing with, then you can go ahead and score item by item. So over here, I've got 6 points for my miso. I have 10 points for my 4 tempura. Then I have 1, 2 times 3, 6 points for my wasabi. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or wasabi and salmon nigiri. We both tied for the most maki rolls, so I get my 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then my tea is also worth 1, 2, 3, 4 points because I have 4 tempura. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the end of the first round. What you would do then is take everything, bring it back in. Since we're going into the second round with 2 to 5 players, we're going to add 3 more green tea ice cream because we want to make sure that there's a little bit more each round. None of it came out that round because it's a big deck, and it's possible none of it will come out, but we will keep adding a little bit more in. And the green tea ice cream, the way that is different from the rest of these items is you do not score the green tea ice cream at the end of the first or second round. You also do not take the green tea ice cream and put it back in the deck. If you have green tea ice cream at the end of the first or second round, you save it and you set it aside. It does not count as all the cards in this current round, so you can't use the tea in the third round to get a whole bunch of points for green tea ice cream. Tea is only going to count what you got in this round, not any desserts that have been set aside. But at the end of the third round, at the game end, like it says on the tile here, you will score 12 points for 4 green tea ice cream. So just like the sashimi and the tempura, 1 is no points, no points, no points, 4, finally now you have 12 points. And if you somehow, if all of your opponents let you get 8, you will get 24. You will play to the end of 3 rounds, and whoever has the most points at the end of the third round is the winner. Alright, and you should have a pretty good feel of how to set up and play through Sushi Go Party now. If you have any questions about the rules, or any recommendations on videos that I should make, please let me know in the comments section below. If you like what you see, please like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you're looking for where to buy Sushi Go Party, look for a link in the description section for macronovagames.com. Until next time, I want to thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.